What's going on, everybody? JP here, and I got a special guest with me. For those who don't recognize him, if you're not watching the video, it's John DiGiacomo, formerly known as Jameson Winger, WWF. John, how are you doing today?
Good.
Oh, we got Jameson.
Yeah, I don't look the same because my nose got really big and my eyebrows bushy. No. Hey, everybody. Hey, it's John. Really happy to be on board, bud. Hope I can give you some entertainment tonight.
I'm looking forward to this. Now, you got a comedy gig coming up in New York at Gio's Restaurant,
Yes.
August 7th, and you're going to feed the people some pizza, I heard.
No, it's gourmet dinner. It's like real, like really good appetizers, choice of, really good entree, choice of, really good dessert, choice of, and all the coffee and soft drinks you could drink. And if you want alcohol, which I always love, you can order that and just got to pay separate for that.
Yeah,
but everything else is included, and it's really beautiful. I mean, it's a great restaurant. It's, it's definitely 3-star Italian food, and those basically are going to be the choices. There's seafood, there's chicken, there's, it's really, really, and there's vegetarian specials too. Just in case.
There you go.
But I don't think the wrestling world and vegetarians mixes that good, but in case it does, we got you covered.
I'm from up in Boston. We had Killer Kowalski, and Killer Kowalski was a vegetarian.
Yeah, after he ate a few people.
Yeah, this is true. But that's pretty impressive. That's that you go to a nice restaurant, you're dealing with $100 a plate, and for this $100, you're going to get the dinner and the show, right?
Yeah, and the show is a show. It's like in like a comedy club format. The show is going to go somewhere between an hour and a half, and then we're going to do a Q&A with all the talent. That's going to last an hour to an hour and a half. By that time, dessert will be being served and the lights will be up. And then when that's all done, it's a meet and greet. So I think value-wise, you're right. I mean, you could go spend just for the dinner alone, $75-$80 a person on this particular dinner. I was very creative picking out the, nobody knows this, but Jameson is Italian in real life.
Right.
And I really, asked them what they could do for this price, and was really creative picking like 3 good appetizers, 4 good entrees, 2 good desserts, that everybody's got a choice. It's not like I can't imagine somebody's not going to find something they like in either of the 3 courses. But the show is the main thing, and work going into this. It's a great space. It's very intimate. It's the top floor of this really beautiful Italian restaurant, and it's got its own bar. It's going to be fast service. Really professional. Plus, it has on one side, in view of everybody, no matter where you're sitting, they have a big screen and a projector in the ceiling, and we're going to air Jameson, the lost episode from 30 years ago, in its entirety. It's going to be like the world premiere of Jameson, the lost episode, and the episode is hilarious. It's basically it's a home movie. I shot it with my friend on a Super 8 camera. It was before digital, and it was just shot as a demonstration to Vince and his staff to give them an idea. After the Royal Rumble, I really didn't want to travel anymore. I didn't want to go on the road, and we came to an agreement that I would only have to do some public appearances and promos to satisfy my contract. Vince was always great to me, and he totally understood that I didn't want to travel anymore because I was giving up a lot of the New York City stage work and other acting.
Right.
So he let me out, and I wanted to give him an idea of what a storyline could be that we could keep going on television, on their
Right.
telecasts released in bits. But I could shoot it at home, my house, his house, just whatever. Yeah. There was, and so I shot this demonstration, and basically the storyline is the Royal Rumble '92. It was the Bushwhackers against the Beverly Brothers in one of the preliminary matches.
Yeah.
And I was managing the Bushwhackers. The Genius was managing the Beverly Brothers. And he roughed me up pretty good, the Genius. Love that guy, by the way. And it was saying, okay, so now after this, Jameson being physically shamed, he's going to join a gym to get revenge on the Genius. He's going to get in shape and kick the Genius's ass.
Well, I gotta say, I'm looking at you now, John, and I don't think the Genius would mess with you right now.
Oh my God! Well, yeah,
you could be on the other side of the ropes today.
Am I? Can you see that much of me?
I'm looking at the biceps. I'm looking at the arms.
Oh my God! Let me get closer then. Can you still see them?
No.
Good. All right, let's go from here.
All right.
But yeah, and that had a lot to do, I think, with my success there, where I didn't look like a guy who was in shape 30 years ago, like my character didn't. But you strip down to street clothes, and even some of the wrestlers were like, "Oh my God, that's the same guy." And I think they liked working bits with me because I would always encourage everybody, whoever I was working with, to, beat the crap out of me. I had some experience, amateur wrestling, amateur boxing, did some gymnastics. So I was in shape. And for me, as a young actor, I wasn't really that young, but let's just say an experienced actor, anything I did, I wanted it to look real. And there were a lot of the guys that I worked with, the big names too, were, I think respected that, because a lot of the non-wrestling personalities of that era didn't really want to get roughed up or anything. Right. And I was willing to go all in, and and I got hurt a couple times in a very short career. There were a couple of moments, but it was so worth it. I mean, everything I never got embarrassed watching myself back on the telecasts. Like, I always felt like, even them, like, ripping me out of the audience and tearing my clothes, like, it always looked like I was really hurt, which was kind of funny. Yeah.
Now, and that's the other thing. Like you say, you weren't only a non-wrestling character. You were pretty much a non-wrestling person, right? You weren't like a wrestling fan going in, were you?
In real life, no. I mean, I was like probably every kid. I was born in the late 50s. So my childhood was basically the 60s.
Okay.
And the late 60s, when I found professional wrestling, into the early 70s, I enjoyed watching it. One of the things, it was always disappointing because who's going to win. And I think because when I got serious about sports myself, it kind of, I kind of lost touch with that. But when I was a young kid, I mean, Mil Mascaras was my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was just athletically blessed. And he was a real wrestler. He was a real, amateur, had experience. He was a shoot wrestler. I mean, he was, and he's still alive. And I love that he is.
Yeah.
I think he just had a birthday or something. But I did lose touch. I didn't grow up a fan. I was aware, because of in the early 80s when Vince took over the company, and all of a sudden you're seeing him on, or his product on MTV and
Right.
And Comedy Central, like everywhere,
Yeah.
on talk shows. Hulk Hogan bursting out of in movies. It was hard, even as not necessarily a fan, but just being a normal citizen. I knew all the main talent from even not being a fan. And when Vince came to see me in a show, I recognized him in one of the rooms I was playing that night. It was like a dinner theater kind of thing where it was 50% scripted scenes, 50% improv. And, you know, my strength was improv. I never set out to be an actor. I was doing stand-up, and I got offered this role. And Vince saw me, and I saw I made a big impression on him. I had him beat red laughing during the improv segments. And, you know, that's how I got started. And when they hired me to be Bobby Heenan's co-host, I had agents approaching me, you know, where most actors breaking in, the big thing is to get an agent,
Right.
so that you can get. But I had people say, "Are you represented? Come talk to me." And I was like that accidental actor. I never. But when I got the bug and started booking commercials and other gigs, not even knowing what I was doing, I decided to take it seriously, and it has a lot to do with why, you know, my biggest regret in my 3+ years at WWF at the time, is that at the time I was doing it, I had no grasp of how popular my character was on like a like a cult.
Right.
He had like a cult
Yes.
following, and I kind of looked at it during that time as like an acting gig instead of embracing. Who knew?
Right.
When I found out, you know, 15 years later and more, almost 20 years later, that there was this hunt to find the actor that played Jameson back then. I was shocked. I was like, what? Yeah. And Joe Bruin found me. I mean, he basically, by luck, by total luck, he found me. And all of a sudden, 20 years later, I'm starting to, I started to grasp.
Today's episode is brought to you by Omio. Omio is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey in Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your travel details and Omio will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation for 2021. Best of all, using Omio saves you time and money. That's a win-win in our books. Omio wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to omio.com and use the code OMIO5 at checkout. Valid until July 31st for new users on all modes of transport. It's just the pick-me-up 2021 needs. Omio. Plan, book, and love the journey. Terms and conditions apply.
Though I walk through the valley of death, I'm just one of many killers that's a part of the set. Y'all be talking out your ass like it's none of us left. You must be higher than giraffe pussy, hey what's next? Y'all don't really want the competition taking the belt. I'd rather die than take an L, y'all don't know how I felt. I be murdering the game, you just play with yourself. You kinda wanna say my name, but you got no help. I believe in Mr. Chaos, I'm rocking the bells, but it's dinner time, fucker, I'ma help myself. I don't want one bite, bitch, I came for the plate, cause I'm hungry like a dude with no food school for a day. I ain't really wanna snap, but you rappers on the way down. I'ma fight till my last breath, never lay down. Hear you talking shit, but I don't care what you say now. Hustle till I hit $1 billion any day now. I'm just on this podcast tip to hit a lick, while you mumble mouth rappers on your knees suck a dick. Claim to be a fighter, but we know that you's a bitch. Half you hoes ain't even writing all the lyrics that you spit. I've been putting in work, but y'all don't know what it is to work a 90-hour week just to feed your kids. I've been down in the gutter, fight my way to the top. Thanking God for all my people who ain't letting me stop. 24 balls in and I'm only getting better, ho. Sticking up the whole rap game, let the cheddar go, yeah. That's part one. Just wait.
What's up, guys? JP here. Got Big Joe with me. You're listening to the Jameson interview. We're going to find out how my man Joe Bruin found Jameson in a second. But I think, Joe, what do you think? We got to spin this motherfucker or what?
Yeah, I think we can spin it. Spin it twice. Not twice. Warm it up once. Mix it up a couple times.
Let me mix it. Yeah, we'll mix it up a little bit and spin it. What do you guys think so far of the Jameson interview? I know a few guys are out there. Mad Dog, I'm doing good, man. Glad to see you in here after our conversation the other day. You do what you want, buddy. Joe Solender, I see you in there. I haven't seen Bobby D yet. What's up with that? Let's see. Where's my... I got too many. We're doing a high-end production.
It's good to have Jameson back.
Yes. Did you see did you catch the opening? I know you
Yep.
How cool was that?
That was good.
I had to freaking announce him with that the Groucho Marx mask on. Like, I had to announce that straight faced.
Nice.
But he enjoyed. I can tell you guys, like, from the conversations with Jameson after the fact, one, he'll be back on, and two, he had a blast doing this. And that was, from what he told me, that was the first time the Jameson character was on film in about 30 years.
There you go. Breaking ground again. The Irish.
That's it. And even though it was just for a few seconds, I got a message right before I recorded the interview last week from Joe Bruin saying that no one else has gotten Jameson out of him and that it was my job to do that. So I'll tell you guys exactly what I said to him. I said, listen, John, Joe Bruin told me no one else had the balls to ask you to be Jameson. So I'm going to ask you for just a little bit. And he laughed and he said, hold on a second. All right. I'm about to spin it. We shuffled it up a ton, guys. So, Ricky Rickyton won last week, the China. This one kind of goes with that because there's a Build-A-Figure for a Paul Ellering in here. And China had a part of it. Edge has a part of it. And that's the Edge we're giving away today, which is a cool-ass figure. Is it Courtesy Beer or is it TIW Big Joe? Joe, you won the figure.
You know what? Spin it again.
You know what? You said spin it twice, didn't you?
I did, so I kind of knew what was going to happen. You know, not that we rigged it or anything. I'm just saying, I knew I was going to win. I felt lucky today.
We started using the wheel, so it wouldn't be rigged. We were originally just kind of picking a name.
You know, I had a good therapy session today. Let's spin it again and see who wins.
I need a therapy session after dealing and getting you logged on.
Yeah, I'm kind of dumb when it comes to that stuff. But
I'm laughing about it. I hope you know that. This is cool. 66 megahertz, who is an artist by night and a teacher by day, according to her Twitter. I was just looking at that because, guys, if you guys have if you're a small business of any sort, or you're someone that has, say, an Etsy shop, or you're an artist, but it's more of like something you do on the side. As long as it's like not your main job, it's not your 9 to 5, you're not a millionaire, not a big corporation. Share that stuff on our page.
Yeah. We'll talk you out.
We want to see that. And, who knows? Maybe we've done that before with Ringside Art, and Ringside Art designed the shirt that I'm wearing right now. So things like that. And I happened to, when I did it because I was setting the wheel up and I came across hers and it says like an artist by night, whatever. And I said, oh, you know what? This would be a cool idea to do. So I tagged her, I tagged Ringside Art, tagged a few of the other companies a few of the other like businesses that we've dealt with in the past. So go ahead and share that. Use us as because I'll be honest with you, it helps us as much as it helps you. So
Exactly.
All right. Do we get right back to it? What do you think? What do you got to add in, Joe? Anything?
I just want to add in that I will be getting better with all this stuff because I am going to go.
Fine.
I am going to learn about it. And it's not. Please, you can still make fun of me for everything anyway. You know that.
Yeah, I'll still laugh. I'm laughing. I'm not yelling.
And I just want to put out there too. Again, like I put a tweet out on Facebook that I'm trying to book ahead a little bit if I can.
Yes.
So if anybody has anybody they want us to try to get on, and I emphasize the word try because it's tough. There's a lot of people that are outside of every podcast reach, but I want to try to get some people on if you want to hear from them.
We'll reach out to those.
Yeah,
we'll reach out to those people, and to the person who commented on that tweet. Like, if you want us to have your mother on the show, that's fine, but you might be calling us daddy at the end of it.
Yeah, you might. Yeah.
No disrespect meant, but I mean, if you're going to try to bust our balls when we're trying to do something to give you all an entertaining show, I'm going to bust your balls right back, and I'm going to go a little bit harder.
Absolutely.
In your mother. So, I don't know. You want to get right back to Jameson?
Yeah, just want to say congratulations to the winner again, and hey, even with your artwork, reach out. We'll push you out there again.
That's it. You guys, listen, this was recorded last week, so you guys have a good night. I don't know if we'll be chiming in again, but, have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Next week, we got Lamont Price, who's a comedian up in Boston, but has done a lot of traveling and a lot of touring, so. And he is really funny.
Exactly. He is hilarious. Check him out. His Twitter handle, if you want to see the upcoming, is at LPizzle. That's LPIZZLE.
And we're working on some other stuff. We're working on other guests as well. So just, the guests are great. I love interviewing people. Like Jameson at the end of it was like, dude, you just let me talk. Yeah, you want to talk? I'm going to sit back and relax. I recorded 2 podcasts that day.
Crazy guy coming up next month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
An old friend of the show.
Like we reached out. We were a friend. He's a friend of the podcast long before he made the and he's coming back after he got out.
Yeah. He's done a ton too. Like he's actually so we're talking, I'll put it out there. We're talking about Sin out in Las Vegas, who was in WWE for literally one match as Kazani. And he's literally made more of a name of himself as Sin the past 2 or 3 years, doing a lot of training stuff and promotional stuff than he ever did as Kazani. So that's going to be a fun one because he's grown. So he was a big deal back then because we got him. I think we had him right before and right after, like a week apart. Yeah, his contract, and he was a big deal then, and he's a bigger deal now. So that's going to be fun.
Absolutely,
and he is a crazy son of a bitch.
Yes, he is. And like I said, guys, if you got somebody want us to try to get, send me a recommendation. I have no problem. I'll run out to anybody. I don't care. I'll walk up to them if I see them face to face.
Yep, we've done it.
Yeah.
So here we go, guys. Here comes John DiGiacomo, a.k.a. Jameson, coming right back.
My character was. And now it's 30 years later, and there's still so much interest in getting me to go do these signings, and that's part of why I'm doing these shows now, is that it's like, I think I could put these shows on,
right.
Give wrestling fans a great night, a legitimate. When I go do these shows and I find out that these people are walking in the door, paying $50 just to be there, and then they still got to pay for whatever they buy.
Right.
And nobody's feeding them. And I'm saying, wow, there's really legit talent out there to put on a great 2.5, even 3 hour show, and then give the the crowd a chance. And it's a small crowd. It's under 100 people. Everybody's going to have their moment one-on-one with the talent, whether you're going to buy their picture or autograph or photo op or not. Everybody's going to take their time with each fan because there's not that many of them going to be there. It's not 250 people at a convention or 500 people at a convention or anything like that. So that was one of the things I wanted to do. And my son, I think he's a huge attraction to these things. I mean, a lot of people still haven't gotten the connection between me and my son, the child actor, who, you know, in 5 years had a better resume than I had in 20 years, and booked this great gig with Vince at Extreme Rules 2014, I think, where the people that know me, the fans and friends that follow wrestling that know me knew that was my son as soon as they saw them.
I had no idea. I'm a diehard wrestling fan. I've been hosting this podcast for way too long. And I had no idea.
Yeah. And, he big career. He was on the highest rated Disney show for 3 years. He had a recurring on Fresh Off the Boat on ABC. And then he was Kevin James' son for both years that Kevin Can Wait was on the air. He did probably the most famous commercial for the NFL since the Mean Joe Green commercial back in the 70s. But he did this Play 60 spot, which the NFL sponsors, with Cam Newton. If you Google Cam Newton Play 60, my son was 7 for that commercial. It really skyrocketed him to all these other gigs. He killed it. He got interviewed on ESPN. It was the same weekend as, I don't know, for football fans out there, they're going to know what I'm talking about, but the Mark Sanchez butt fumble game was the same weekend. And the commercial debuted Thanksgiving Day 2012. And by Sunday night, Thanksgiving is Thursday, but it was on every NFL telecast. By Sunday night, it had over 1.5 million. It really, on multiple sites, it had over 2 million hits on YouTube. It was that. In fact, ESPN ran a poll saying who should be the Jets starting quarterback next week. And it was the same weekend as the butt fumble. And they said Mark Sanchez, the backup quarterback, A, Mark Sanchez, B, I don't remember who the backup was for the Jets then. And C was the Cam Newton kid. And he won the poll. So my son won the poll. So, and he was also big time breakout role in the movie Brooklyn, which was, I'm going to say 6 years ago, maybe. It was up for Best Picture, and he got big reviews. This little chubby Italian kid. It takes place in 1952 Brooklyn, and he ran away with it. He crushed it, and the kids never look back. He's just keeps getting, great job after great job, and we actually got to do a movie together, which is pretty cool, really cool. Maybe my favorite moment of his career that I'm in the same film as him. That's going to be out soon.
That'll be something that you guys will both look back on. I'm looking through his IMDb right now, and I mean, I loved The Following, and I know exactly who he was in The Following. Yeah, and awesome there. Fresh Off the Boat, I loved. White Collar. That was a good show.
He was 5. If you know White Collar, Mozzie, who was a big character. He was. Yeah. He was in what's that show? Where he played the friend, the 4 Girls. With Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sex and the City.
Yes. Mozzie from White Collar was on that show. He was their friend. He was their gay friend.
Okay.
And my son played him in a flashback episode to when he was 5 years old. And that was, besides doing a couple of print gigs for Toys R Us, he's in a catalog. He was on a packaging. I actually have the toy with him on the packaging. Keeping one for him, maybe worth money someday. But yeah, that was his first real job on TV, was White Collar. And then just the Cam Newton commercial, brilliant. Every football fan in America,
yes,
if I show a football fan that commercial, they're like, I remember this. That's your son? But yeah, really talented kid. And what I've really devoted most of my time to, from, I'm going to say, 2010 to this April. No, but very recently, I've been able to start to. He's older now. He's 16, going through that life change where boys don't work that much because they're they're transferring from child actor to adult actor. But he's well on his way. This kid's still going to do some good stuff.
That's awesome. And that's, I mean, you had a little bit of a knowledge of the business.
For him,
to probably help him out, but like he just elevated so much.
Big time. I had a
it all snowballed.
I had a big advantage going in with him, and it's what's driven me to coach other kids that I see have talent, but they just don't have the connections. And I work with kids to get them ready to meet either an agent or a manager, and then I release them. And if they have an audition coming up, they want to work with me on. I give them my time, and but to me, it's I've done a lot of and kind of put my son into that category of doing a lot of fundraisers, and mostly for animal rescue. But but there's humans are a little more important. So I got really involved in Meals on Wheels, and I got involved with kids who could be, could have a really good start in life, but just don't have the right knowledge, or their families don't, to point them in the right direction. And it's important to give back. And I watch a lot of Undercover Boss, which and Long Lost Family. Any show that can make me cry, I'm addicted.
Now, what have you done? I mean, obviously, you got the movie coming out. You said too,
right?
With your son, and that's Brooklyn.
No. Brooklyn was out like 6 years ago. This was a film. This is a great story. This was a film that I'm going to say 2 years ago, over the summer, James got a special request to audition for. It was going to be a short film shot in California. Now, one thing I know about the movie business is if you're doing a short film and you're shooting in LA, you're going to hire an LA actor because you don't have to pay for airfare, hotels. That's what you're going to do. But it's a it's a gorgeous film, very touching. Grab a box of tissues. It's about how abuse is passed down from generation to generation in an Italian family. And I'm not saying it's only Italian families, but I think that there's listen, every ethnic group has its share of abuse, but this happened to be an Italian family, and it's kind of based on a true story. And they were looking for the kid that could make people cry doing this film. Okay. And they saw him in an episode of a show he guest starred on. I think the show is on Hulu. Very successful, called Rami. A really good show. The star and writer and director and producer is all one guy, and his name is Rami Youssef. Brilliant. And James crushed his episode. And these guys making this short film saw that episode and said,
Wow.
this is the kid we need. And they were willing to pay for a short film, pay his way and my way, because he's a minor.
Right. Right.
For not only airfare round trip, but hotels for 3 weeks. He was
Wow.
the star of the movie. He's in every scene. He carries this film. So the funny thing is they didn't bring us out there for the auditions. They Skyped with him. And at the time, I think James was maybe 13. Mozzie from White Collar was on that show. He was their friend. He was their gay friend.
Okay.
And my son played him. It's a gorgeous film, very touching. Grab a box of tissue 6 years ago. This was a film. This is a great story. This was a film that I'm going to say 2 years ago, over the summer, James got a special request to audition for. It was going to be a short film shot in California. Now, one thing I know about the movie business is if you're doing a short film and you're shooting in LA, you're going to hire an LA actor because you don't have to pay for airfare, hotels. That's what you're going to do. But it's a it's a gorgeous film, very touching. Grab a box of tissues. It's about how abuse is passed down from generation to generation in an Italian family. And I'm not saying it's only Italian families, but I think that there's listen, every ethnic group has its share of abuse, but this happened to be an Italian family, and it's kind of based on a true story. And they were looking for the kid that could make people cry doing this film. Okay. And they saw him in an episode of a show he guest starred on. I think the show is on Hulu. Very successful, called Rami. A really good show. The star and writer and director and producer is all one guy, and his name is Rami Youssef. Brilliant. And James crushed his episode. And these guys making this short film saw that episode and said, this is the kid we need. And they were willing to pay for a short film, pay his way and my way, because he's a minor.
Right. Right.
For not only airfare round trip, but hotels for 3 weeks. He was the star of the movie. He's in every scene. He carries this film. So the funny thing is they didn't bring us out there for the auditions. They Skyped with him. And at the time, I think James was maybe 13. And I was not that stage mom that stood over his shoulder and watched. I let him get on his computer, shut the door. It's you and them, buddy. Just do your thing. And they offered him the role in that Skype audition. And they said, James, your resume is unbelievable. Who do you study with in New York? Who's your? And he said, well, my dad is an actor. He's the only coach I ever had. And he said, well, they said, we didn't hire the actors yet to play your uncle or your father in the film. Send us his picture. We'll let him audition. So my son sends my picture, and they call him back. They say, James, tell your dad to read the grandfather role.
Oh, jeez.
So I got the role. I actually play his grandfather in this, and it's a beautiful film. And his parents, by the way, are in this film are very recognizable actors. If you're a fan of The Sopranos at all, they're both I don't know if you follow The Sopranos. His mom is played by Meadow Soprano. Tony's daughter. Jamie Lynn Sigler. I think. And his father, my son in the movie, is Lilo Brancato, who was on Sopranos for a season or two early on, I think. And he was the kid, Robert De Niro's son in A Bronx Tale.
Oh,
he actually went on to get in some legal trouble and served time in jail, and but never missed a beat when he got out of prison.
That's
he started working again and got hired, and it's just a beautiful film. I saw an uncut version to date, the cut version, what's going to be streaming soon. I haven't seen, but just in the uncut version I saw, my son, it's like it makes it all worth what I've given up and devoted to him these last 10 years. He'll make you cry. He's got to cry a few times in the film. And every take, every scene where he had to cry, and I kid you not, every take, this kid was able to cry new tears. And all I heard all week long was, this kid's not human. It's not, like, it was just really overwhelming for me. And the funniest thing was, the first 2 weeks, my character is only in 2 scenes, but it's a really good role for me, because I get the whole abuse thing passing down. Italian. I was never abused, but I'm Italian, and I've got enough Italian friends and extended family, not immediate family, because my parents were never that way, but I understood it. And how this kid absorbed this, and what I can't wait till it comes out. I can't wait till it starts hitting the film festivals, because it's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in an Irish Catholic neighborhood in Boston, so I can tell you it runs in cycles. It runs in cycles. Shit.
And you probably had right down the block a group of Italians living there too, because that was Brooklyn in my time. It was Irish, and that's the movie Brooklyn, is basically how Irish and Italian immigrants assimilated. And being a good Irish guy, brother, I can't believe you didn't see Brooklyn. Go watch it.
I'm a Boston guy, though. Like this, that
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I will check it out, though. I will absolutely.
It's beautiful, and if
this
and
weekend.
I'm sure you have people in your family that married Italians, and I'll bet you they've seen the film.
Probably, There's definitely people who have married Italians, and they have probably seen the movie.
Absolutely, big
but
film.
It's that's awesome. I'll be checking that out this weekend.
Awesome.
Now, who else is on the who else is at Geo's with you? I mean, it's Mario Mancini, who toured with the WWF forever.
Yeah. And,
Greg Valentine.
One of my favorite jobbers, one of the few I remember from 30 years ago. But he always was. And him and Barry.
Horowitz.
Yes. Oh, my God. You know what I think would have been great? We kind of all, maybe not me, because I was already older, but anybody in there, I would say probably very late 30s to 50s that followed wrestling back then. They should have had a jobber tournament, where you got to see guys that you recognized as jobbers. I would have loved to see Barry and Mario go at it for, it would have been hilarious. It would have been, and somebody gets a trophy.
Yeah, it would be an awesome match.
Yeah, and some of the other jobbers too. You make a tournament, and release one match a week, and let that. There's so many storylines out there that I think they missed. Although I don't have a lot to complain about. When I was there, television I thought was pretty good and entertaining, and because I wasn't a wrestling fan and didn't have a lot of wrestling fan friends as adults, all that, it was infinite. The product was infinitely more watchable than it is today.
It told a better story because of the jobbers. There's no jobbers now. Everybody wants, and back then, when you were around, that was right around the early WrestleManias. But like the pay-per-views weren't even a thing. But like now, everybody wants a pay-per-view every Monday night.
Yeah.
And when you have that, then it doesn't mean jack.
Right.
You know, so when you have the jobbers, they add to the storylines. They make the stars look like superstars.
Brother, I'm sure you follow UFC a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know how they do those, where they're in a house?
Yes.
I forget what they call that. Tough.
The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah. And most of and it's the same shit with Kitchen Nightmares. Not Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen and Master Chef and all that. It's a competition. It's seeing who's going to get through. You'll tune in, even if only one place is determined that night. You'll keep watching. You have at that time, you put a jobber show on where it's 8 of the most famous jobbers in a tournament, like single elimination tournament. It's quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. I think it would have gotten great, and it would have been a chance for some of these guys who, for one reason or another, never got out of the jobber phase. But it would have been a chance for them to have their moment, whether they won the tournament or not. But be in a tournament, be in a match where when people are watching, they are really not sure who's going to win. But every match Mario was ever in, he was losing.
Right.
I just think that, and I think they could bring that back. I think that's a concept that they can still do.
Yeah, of course. Because like guys like Mario and Barry made you knew when they entered the ring that they were going to lose. But they managed to make you forget that during the match.
2 really athletic guys who got it and weren't bruised by.
And both really stand-up guys.
Yeah, I know Mario a little better than I know Barry, but I would always, when I was there, it was kind of, it's funny because I always felt like I don't belong here. And I'm in the good dressing room. And I'm getting the good catering. And there were guys that put on a great show that had a dress in the other dressing room or had to, that weren't, especially when we went on the road. It was, I always felt like I really don't deserve to be here. And totally understood why there were talent in the dressing room that had no use for me. Because I wasn't a wrestler and I wasn't, in their opinion, right for wrestling. And a lot of Vince's guys around him, his promoters and felt the same way. Old School was not a fan of Jameson's, and I was very respectful always of that that sentiment that who the hell is this? Why is he getting so much airtime? But what made it easier for me to deal with was that way, way, way more people, wrestlers, liked me and respected me than didn't.
Yeah.
So it made it, because if everybody felt that way, I'd have left after my first contract expired. I was that sensitive to hot and cold in terms of the talent I was working with.
Wow. And I think it's like that in all, like, I don't know about today on the television product. I can tell you on the independents, it's still sort of like that where, ABC wrestler wants to know why DEF is getting more time than him, or why GHI has the belt. And it's crazy to me because it's not a secret. I don't expose the business. It's not something I've ever done. It's a work, though. So you do what you're told, and you do what you're paid to do, and you get paid to do it.
Yeah, I think sometimes the expression "the greasy wheel gets the squeaky wheel gets greased" doesn't really apply to every
No.
industry. And I
No.
think this might be one that it doesn't, because the guys that are in position to make those decisions, I'm convinced they're not always the best ones to make those decisions, but they've been gifted that power. And there's sometimes decisions are made that really piss off diehard wrestling fans. And but I'm no expert on professional wrestling. Really enjoyed my time there. Maybe enjoyed my rebirth even more, because I'm at least now in a position to recognize the love and the support for Jameson that I didn't, and I want to choke myself that I didn't really grasp that when it was all going on.
But I think if you had, it might not be as strong now. I think part of it is that you didn't grasp it then, and you didn't recognize it then, so you continue to be Jameson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until they put me in the ground, I'm going to always feel like I want to give something back to wrestling, because, and it's like I'm having so much fun with this now, but I'll never stop trying to convince wrestling fans of that era, the late 80s and early 90s, of how much I love them and appreciate them and wish I did at that point. I definitely want to give back.
Now, you mentioned getting active with the fans and stuff. Do you have social media now?
I do. I have had since Joe Bruin threatened me to not have it. So I'm on Facebook, and my name on there is John Jameson with an E, not an I. It gets misspelled a lot. It's John Jameson DiGiacomo. I'm sure if you put in John Jameson, it'll come up there. You don't have to worry about spelling DiGiacomo to get up there. And just today, at Joe Bruin's request, I finally joined Instagram, because I have a podcast coming up that's on Instagram Live or something in a few days. So I joined. So I got no content up there yet, but certainly anybody that wants to reach out and friend me on Facebook, or reach out to me on Instagram, I will be posting on that at some point.
Now, I heard through the grapevine there might be a YouTube channel.
Yes, that's in the works too. I mean, I'm so behind the times. I mean, look at me. I was, I was around before television. No, not really, but not long after television. I'm not good with computers and all that stuff, but yeah, we're with my son's help, who's like tech savvy. I want to smack him. We're gonna start up a YouTube channel, and the video I talked about earlier is going to be on there, and some new videos of me and my son together, and me separately, and even him separately. He's funny. I mean, he got the best of me. Like all my good qualities he inherited, and I'm thankful that all my bad qualities, he only has maybe one or two of those, and very, very happy that he's got none of his mother's personality.
Oh, that sounds like an alimony payment.
Just keeping it real.
That's now with Gio's. Sorry, I'm pulling my info up here. Gio's August 7th. Mario Mancini, Greg the Him of Valentine, Jameson, John DiGiacomo, I'm an Irish guy. I hope I said that right.
You know, close enough, brother. Close enough.
You know, $100 with a 3-course gourmet dinner. You know, buy a few beers, enjoy yourself, and just have fun.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, like, I mean, I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but I get asked to do a lot of these signings, and it's so impersonal. You know, they pay $50 to get in, and then they're so rushed to get their photo up and their autograph, and they you know, everybody's nice. It's not that people are rude or anything like that, but you know, it's not really an atmosphere that's conducive to being able to shoot the shit with the talent. And that's why, you know, that's one of the things. I kind of looked at everything like, what have been my experience from doing these shows? And I've done less than 10 of those signings, but I had some real heartbreak over doing those in terms of seeing old talent that's maybe, and a lot of them younger than me, just not in a good way, and feeling like they've got it. This is how they make their living, and a little on the depressing side. And also, I was busy a lot. My son had me in California a lot of weekends. It was really hard to pin down these dates. But so what I did was, I'm trying to take, you know, what criticisms I have about these signings. And one of them is that you really don't get that intimate. They're very crowded. You're waiting online. This is going to be 80 to 90 people. Plenty of time, given it 2.5 hours to 3 hours to go meet these people. And if you paid the $100 and you don't want to spend another dime, come talk to us. You don't have to buy anything. If you want to buy something, you'll get it cheaper than mail order. But it's just like, for me, it's like, you know, wrestling fans, with COVID being over, here's what I've found. And I would love some feedback on what I'm saying here, is that wrestling fans are awesome and loyal, and with COVID being over, are not running to Cape Cod or to you know, the Hamptons or the Jersey Shore or something. They're kind of checking out what's the next good show near me.
Right.
And it's I just want to give them a really good option from going spending $100 and nobody fed you.
That's,
you know what I mean? And it's not just, we're not leaving out Big Macs and fries,
right?
Like
I joked.
The White House used to give out, where it's 3
so
courses,
true.
and it's like, you know, the appetizer are like fried calamari, and there's a spinach artichoke dip for the vegetarians. There's you know, the main courses. It's like chicken parm, eggplant parm for the vegetarians. It's salmon. I can't remember all of them, but the desserts are unbelievable. It's a choice of churros. Everybody knows what churros are, I hope, and or cheesecake. And it's all. I mean, it's literally an $80 meal if you went out by yourself to this level restaurant and ordered those 3 dishes. That's what you're going to spend. And I just think we're giving so much more value than your typical wrestling appearance.
And you get to sit down, you know, if you walk over to the bar and have a drink with Mario or Greg yourself, you know, and
like
or that's a different type.
Or you sit in your chair and a waitress comes, brings you your drink, and you tell that waitress, when Jameson gets a chance, when Greg gets a chance, could he come over to our table? Could you? It's that kind of thing. It's like a wedding, almost, like in terms of
so much
waiting
more
on lines. I know me and my son, and I'm sure Mario. I haven't spoken to Greg yet. Not sure where his head is at and all this, but you know, we're gonna work the room while after the shows are over. In those 2.5 hours, we're gonna visit tables and we're gonna say hello. And we're gonna, do the right thing and just hope I just hope that it sells out and there's reason to keep doing shows like this. Because I'm not, I'm very much of the mind you let your fans speak for themselves. And if it doesn't look like there's a big move towards this type of entertainment, I'm not an idiot. I'll step away. But I think that for just announcing this, that ticket sales are pretty good, and I'm hoping that they stay that way so that I don't lose a dime running the show in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure it gets included in every show note, and we'll talk about it in every show up until August 7th.
Okay.
Because guys, now where can people get tickets? Are they available online?
Okay, yes. There is, oh my God, I don't have it in front of me. I should. There's a site, Eventbrite.
Okay, yes.
Familiar with that? They can buy them there. And also, I have a Venmo account set up for anybody that does Venmo. And for any information about tickets, I'm going to give you an email address. It's Jameson with an E, not an I, like the whiskey. Jameson, Jameson, X as in X-ray, WWF as in Frank, at gmail.com. And anybody that's interested in tickets or info, shoot me an email, get right back to you. And if you're ready to, I'll if you have Venmo, I can share that information with you. And if you don't, I could give you the proper information for Eventbrite to get tickets. Okay,
and I will look up the Eventbrite as well and make sure that I include that in the show notes. And
yeah, hey, JP, do you know Scott Wilder?
I know who Scott is. I don't know Scott.
Okay,
I've met him. I've met him at Joe's things a couple of times.
He's awesome.
Is that Scott, who are you working with, Scott? I know he's a hell of a promoter for that type of thing.
He's him and Joe both are like my liaisons, my advisors, that Scott's awesome too. And if you're not friends with Scott on Facebook, he set up the Eventbrite. And I think both he and I are I guess they call it administrators or to it, where you see what's coming in. I still don't know how to get in there, but Scott would. So anybody listening, if you're interested in tickets and you feel like Jameson is really as fucked up as he looked 30 years ago, you can reach out to Scott Wilder and he'll hook you up.
Awesome. And I'll find that as well on there. I'm sure I can. All
right.
I think I'm pretty sure I can find that in there. But yeah, Jameson, John, seriously, I grew up. I'm a little bit younger than you. I grew up in the 70s, but like you were on TV when I was watching wrestling with, it was you and Bobby, and I love that era of my life. So thank you for being a part of that.
Man, much love.
When Joe tracked you down, I said to Joe, because obviously I try to do the same thing. I said, "How did you find him?" Joe went, "JP, I can't tell you, but I'll just say I didn't give up."
Yeah, it's a great story, and it's no secret. I mean, I've shared the story on other podcasts, and I was running a nightclub in New York City. Basically, I was hired to run the comedy shows and the music there, and I had this group of comedians come in that wanted to produce their own show, and it was a weeknight, so I let them do it. And in our discussions, they found out I was Jameson on WWF, and they said, "Can we put you on our poster?" could you make an appearance for us? Could we announce that? They were all wrestling fans, these comedians. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to get up as Jameson, but I'll get up and do a couple minutes and maybe introduce you guys. And so they put it on their poster, which in those days, there wasn't a lot of, Facebook was just starting out. MySpace literally was in their infancies. And but what you could have in those days was a website, and they posted this poster on their website, and somehow Joe saw it. It was New York City, and he's up in Providence or near Boston, and somehow he saw it. He called the bar. I couldn't believe it. Did not want to believe it. And incidentally, there's another guy who's awesome. His name is Phil Strum. Some of your listeners, I'm sure. He was at the time, 10 years ago, he was a pretty big sports writer. Did a column, had his own column, had his own. Ultimately, he became the sports editor, and now is branched out even to a better job. Still with the same company. It's Gannett, which is the biggest newspaper in the whole country because it owns USA Today. It has a paper in just about every big Northeast city. And he did when he saw the poster, when he saw the picture, he did like a 4-part series in his local newspaper, like Sunday edition, about Jameson. And it was, that's when I just started getting wind of, wow, you have this cultish following, and you still do.
No, I knew the story, but I wanted you to tell it because I didn't know the side of the story from your end.
There's so many levels to my life.
It just shows you what Joe goes through.
Yeah.
And
good guy.
But Jameson, I do have to wrap up. We've been going just about an hour. I appreciate it. I do have the Eventbrite, so that will go in the show notes right away.
You are awesome. Very professional. Happy to do it. They don't all go this, I don't love all of them like I love this one. You kind of shut up and let me talk. And I purposely didn't say a word when I woke up this morning until now. So I stayed talkative. All right, buddy, thank you. And stay in touch.
I will absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? That was it, guys. That was John DiGiacomo, a.k.a. Jameson Winger. A nice mohawk, Joe. Jesus Christ. I have to introduce fucking Jameson coming on with the Groucho Marx glasses, and then you come on with that.
Hey, it's been a long day.
It was that was fun. That was a lot of fun for me to do because, like, no bullshit. Like, I grew up with Jameson and Bobby Heenan, like the 4 or 5 seasons of the Bobby Heenan show that they were with Jameson on it. Like, that was my Saturdays. And I know, Joe, probably the same with you. Like,
absolutely.
And then to have him come on and talk about his son, and like his son is like a pretty big deal. Like the Kevin Can Wait and some of the other shows and movies that he's done and stuff. And the fact that he was Johnny on WWF, like I had no WWE rather recently, I had no idea of that.
That's the cool part. It's almost like what father had, son now has.
Yeah,
in a sense.
And the reason he talked about it a little bit, like the reason he wasn't ever supposed to go on tour, Jameson. And then when the WWE, well, when the WWF, when they ended that Bobby Heenan show, basically what they did was they said, okay, we still got you under contract, but we need you to go on tour now, basically. And they put him with like the Bushwhackers, and but he never wanted a tour because he gave up money.
Yeah.
by touring because he couldn't do the New York City comedy stuff anymore. So, but that was just a lot of fun. And did you get your sound back? I know you said your sound cut out at one point.
Yeah, I caught the last like 10 minutes of it again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just it was him talking about Joe Bruin and how Joe discovered him, which was a really cool story too.
Why don't we get Joe on?
Joe's done it. Joe's kind of Joe is a family man. Joe has about 27 kids.
Yeah.
Literally, I think he's got 8.
That's
And then he does a lot of this stuff for these guys, helping them promote it. But guys, you can get tickets. It's $100 for Jameson and Friends. It's $100, but that's literally it's a 3-course meal, and it's a nice Italian restaurant. Gio's in New York City, right? And I believe it's right in Times Square or right in that area. And you go in and you sit down. You don't have to go to their table to get their autographs. They're going to come to your table and, sign your stuff and do whatever, have a conversation with you. And that's just like different. And do you remember talking about doing stuff like that a long time, like 15 years ago?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So it's good to see someone had the balls to do it because we didn't back then. And I want to see this work.
I'd love to see this work. I'd love to see this become a thing, not so much just a one-off event, but like, hey, we're going to do the dinner in Boston now. Hey, it's going to be in San Antonio, it's almost like a traveling event, so to say.
And you could have different talent at each one. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't always, although Greg Valentine's hysterical. Mario Mancini's a great guy and is pretty funny as well. So, and he's got his kid. His kid's going to be doing part of the routine there.
Yeah, and even with that, though, you're going to think about how vast the talent pool is throughout the country. Whether you get legends or currents or whatever, you can get people throughout the country to do it. It doesn't have to necessarily be a stand-up act the whole time. It can be
a road show, like what we saw with Hacksaw.
Yeah, road
telling stories about the roads. Yeah, but guys, that's it for this week. We went a little bit long because the interview went a little bit long. I appreciate the people that stuck with us. I appreciate the people that are going to tune in later. The great part about that is you can always pause it. I'm going to edit the little part in the middle where I lost the connection to the video. I'll edit that so it seems pretty flawless. And that'll be it, guys. Y'all have a good week. Next week, Lamont Price.
One of the top comics in Boston.
Yeah, like tours the country. So it's really like saying I don't even feel comfortable saying in Boston for him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize he was a local guy, to be honest with you.
And he's also a huge wrestling fan. So he's going to bring the funny. And you know what? Like we usually do when we have our non-wrestling guest on, we're going to have him create his own character.
Mm-hmm. Maybe use, maybe we can do now. Maybe now we can give him the name. Maybe now we can use the cards.
I have the cards, I have the cards.
You do. I have a copy of the cards. So I mean, we're talking about.
You and I will get together before next week, and we'll discuss it. We'll make it a pretty decent show.
Do we spring it on him?
Yeah, just spring.
I mean, I don't know though because I don't know if we do the cards or not because the Honey Badger was money. Honey Badger didn't give a fuck.
Honey Badger didn't give a fuck. That was good. Yeah. No. Yeah. We'll save the cards when we have a guest in studio.
Okay. All right, we can do that. But guys, that's all I got for this week. Joe, go ahead and say it.
See you next Thursday.